Howdy gamers, it's Leighton here from Leighton Night, the podcast that you're currently listening to in case you accidentally stumbled upon this, in which case I am sorry, but just wanted to let you know that there is a video version of this episode that is up on our Patreon for all tiers. So if you want to join us over there, depending on the tier, you can get all sorts of cool benefits. We do mini-sodes every week. We do some fun videos. You get access to our fan Discord, and overall, it's a really lovely time, and we would love to have you there. So, without any further ado, here is the audio version of this episode. So if you want to do the video version, you can go to patreon.com/Leighton Night, or not. It's really whatever floats your boat. Anyway, episode...
This is the mystery of Zencastr. It has never once been synchronized.
Everyone has their own latency. It's like how everyone has a different personality. You know, it's like
everyone has their own personal latency. That explains a lot of people.
What makes us all unique in life? You know what I mean?
That's right. I like the idea of a personal latency. I was talking about this on the show. I just read this Dan Charnas book, Dilla Time, the Jay Dilla biography. Yeah. I've been thinking about latency because the whole lilty, stilted beats is so crucial to that stuff.
Dilla's whole sound is he's not quantized. That's his whole thing.
Or the case that he's making in this book is he's quantized, but the quantizations are then shifted, right? Like he's strict, but then he's off by a few. So Dan Charnas in the book talks about, much like people talk about microtonality, he talks about microtime. Mm-hmm. And I'd never seen any music discussion of micro time.
Well, it all comes from when you're working on these DAWs, you know what I mean? And this is how people like Dilla and a lot of the producers didn't learn how to play music in the garage with their friends on Metallica covers. They learned to make beats on an MPC or on a DAW. And then you start digging in and you're like, oh, I could make the grid snapping into 64th notes. And then you're like, oh, so it makes sense. That's how you learn to make music.
The other amazing thing about Dilla is he wasn't doing it on a DAW initially, right? He was doing it on an MPC.
MPC, yeah. So he was just going click, 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 click.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so of its time technologically.
Mm-hmm. I believe in when you're working on projects to have rules or work within constraints, and it always makes the best shit. And Dilla is like a prime example of the best shit being made under really tight constraints. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. I love that. It's something I keep trying to tell myself. Yeah, I mean, you know how it goes. Like you're working on something and something goes wrong and the guy doesn't show up, or suddenly you don't have the gear you thought you'd have. And I have long endeavored, not always successfully, to view those failings as like, oh no, this is a new constraint to play with, right? That now can strengthen the project rather than, detract from it.
I fell in a wormhole just last night about albums that had no cymbals on it, right?
Oh, shit.
That's what I want to do next. I want to make a couple songs with no cymbals.
What are famous albums with no cymbals?
Adam Ant's King of the Wild Frontier has no cymbals.
On the whole album?
Yeah. And Peter Gabriel's 3, the Melty Face album, with Phil Collins on drums, has no cymbals. And it creates this, not Adam Ant, but on the Peter Gabriel's case, it creates this very alien sound, right?
Yeah.
It's just all gung, 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 and it's cool.
Dude, that's so crazy you say that. We just got back from a recording session at Sonic Ranch in Texas, and a friend of our producers, this drummer, Terrence Clark, was there, and he was, one of these like Nashville, I think he's originally Memphis, guys who's just like plays on a million different sessions on all sorts of stuff. And we're making a hip hop album, and he's like, I'll just come in, lay down some beats, whatever. And the best one he did, we were trying to think of different constraints for him, and the best one he did was no cymbals.
Nice.
We were like, yeah, just try it without cymbals. And we used it on a song, which I don't want to say what anything's about yet. Well, I'll say it now. We're going to bleep it.
Okay. All right.
It's a song about.
Nice.
And, it's a video game hip hop thing. And all the songs are different games or characters or something. And so, we have this very Tommy kind of rumbly beat for a song about fucking.
Nice. Nick Cage's favorite video game of all time.
I didn't know that. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
That's
Brian,
Yes,
Aaron
please.
played me another song that you guys recorded.
Yes. Okay. So I was going to talk about this later. It's a song idea I had a couple years ago, Chucky, and I'm convinced that it has the potential to be a big, big hit. It's called Eat Ass, Get Money. And after my partner in Ninja Sex Party rejected this idea wholesale because he said, quote, I can't fucking sing that. I can't see those words coming out of my mouth.
Coward.
You said it, not me. And then he left a day early and the rest of us wrote and recorded it. So
that's a very Beatlesy move to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really, it was like we had this world-class studio. We did everything we needed to do. There was just like minor editing and comping and stuff like this. And I was like, now's our chance to write Eat Ass, Get Money. And we did it.
The Zoomers are going to love Eat Ass, Get Money. They're all about eating ass.
Right.
And getting money.
And getting money. If I said it wasn't calculated for exactly that crowd, I would be lying. This is why I think it has crossover potential. Of the songs I've written, this is probably the one that is most likely, I think, to actually not get radio play for very, very obvious reasons. But look, if WAP, is that WAP or WAP? What do people say?
WAP.
The WAP. Okay, great. If that can be a big hit, surely Eat Ass, Get Money can be.
The thing is it goes so unnecessarily hard. I was so impressed with Eat Ass, Get Money, and it got stuck in my head very hard.
It's good. This is the thing.
Great to hear you rap for the first time, Brian. Have you ever rapped on a track before?
Not on a track. I used to do it in my little like bar band in San Diego.
Oh my God.
We did a few Cool Keith covers that I would do. I'm not a great rapper, in case everything about me doesn't just scream that. But I would do it occasionally on stage at songs that I could pull off.
You have a style, though.
Do I?
I think it is the perfect style for Brian Wecht. And also all of Jim's little sung hooks in that song are so good, too.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
So I don't want to dismiss the idea that this could be a huge hit on TV and radio as well, because I was buying flowers the other day at the Grove. I walked into the Grove and got some flowers at the fancy flower store.
Yep.
And the music in there was like, ride my cock, ride my pussy, pussy cock. And I'm like, oh my God, I was like scandalized. You know what I mean? Like, but this is just the music that kids listen to now in the fucking flower store.
At
it's
the
fine.
Grove. At the Grove.
I was like, do you guys hear what's happening? No one cares, because I think people just, this is music now. You know what I mean?
I agree.
What would the clean version title be, Brian? For radio, so let's think about that.
Yeah, you know what? I did have an idea for this because I was thinking through this. So I did learn, by the way, so we had a recent single out with Ninja Sex Party that got marked explicit because of the word ass. I got confirmation from our distributors because I didn't mark it explicit. We sent it out. It got rejected by their content review. And I was like, what is explicit about this? And I had a very nice person on their ticketing system, some customer service person, wrote back, the explicit word is ass.
Thank you.
I was like, oh, okay. First of all, I apologize for making you type that, but also thank you. So we'd have to replace ass in Eat Ass, Get Money. So we could say butt, which just makes it sound crazy.
I'll do you one better. Not only do you need to have the radio play version, you need to have the Kids Bop version.
Oh, yes, that is very true. You could bleep it, which I like because it's the most annoying version.
I think you should change it to bass, and it could be about a nice seafood fish dish, which
great.
Kids love, Kids Bop. And, so I'm just throwing it out there, spitball.
Eat Basket Money. I like that a lot. Speaking of constraints, famously the censored version of Repo Man, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With the you flippin' melon farmer.
They did very funny overdubs on very funny.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a version of this where we just go that route and go kind of nonsensical with words that are kind of in the spirit of the original.
This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps, etc.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Leighton, what would you do with this gem?
I mean, Eat Basket Money is pretty solid, but I think still a little too close to the racy origin. The thing is that there are so many jokes in the song that you guys are very specific about what the song is about.
About the thing being eaten, yes.
Yes.
Well, but ponder it. God knows when this fucker is coming out. There's a lot of work to do yet on it. And then there's the whole question of like, what is this band? Which we'll decide that, I think later. There's a version we go Gorillaz style, and it's like, a bunch of animated characters or something. But
honestly, I love that.
I don't know.
That's great.
I think there's potential there.
Yeah. I think your character should be a rapping robot. I feel like that would fit.
That's pretty close to my personality.
Yeah.
Look, everybody, this is Late Night with Brian Wecht. My name is Brian Wecht. Over here we have Leighton Gray.
That's me. I really like how you're introducing the show like you're breaking news to like children that their parents are getting a divorce.
Also, you're doing it like it's bad news. Like, sorry, everyone. Look at this is Late Night.
I mean,
yeah,
that's true. That's the general vibe. Like, my apologies. I am Leighton Gray, mystery guest. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Chaki. I'm a musician and a tour guide. And I'm a fan of you guys. So thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, we're fans of you, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is so fun and awesome for me. And it's an honor to hang out with both of you.
No, it's an honor to have you on. So, Chaki, you and I met when you opened for Planet Booty.
Right. The great Planet Booty, who you've been a champion of.
I firmly believe that of all the artists and acts I've worked with, they should be world famous. They should be like Lizzo level famous. I'm a huge fan of them as people. I'm a huge fan of their music. They practice a form of radical inclusivity that I find just joyful and fun and engaging. And they do it with great music. So I love everything about them.
They're so funky, and the radical inclusivity is such a good way to put it. So I was a fan of theirs too, and so that's why I shoehorned myself into any show I could get. When I see them playing at a place, I'm like, I email the venue. I'm like, let me open. And so thank God I did, because then I got to meet you, and it was now I'm here. So this is good stuff.
Well, dude, I saw your set there and I loved it. And I was like, whoa, this guy fucking rules. And then came up and said hi backstage, and then found out your keyboard like totally broke or something during that set, which I hadn't even noticed.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was just great. And you were like, oh shit, half my equipment didn't function or something during that show.
This is just my lot in life is it wouldn't be a Chucky show unless there's a complete disaster. I try to be professional, and I try to have my shit together, and it just never works out. But it keeps me on my toes. It keeps things punk rock. It keeps things DIY. I always have to on the fly figure stuff out. And I just recently, those of you watching the Patreon video, which you should, if you're not watching it, go and watch that video.
Wow.
You're wearing a WFMU shirt right now, Brian. And I just recently did a live set on the Tom Sharpling Best Show.
Yes, you did, which I saw.
Half of my equipment just stopped working in the middle of that set. So you can see me on the floor plugging shit in and like still singing the songs and getting up and then like plugging shit in and then like playing a bass line and then running down and but it all worked out in the end.
I thought it was awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you see me on the ground plugging stuff in, that's not part of the show. That was because everything broke. So yeah.
And that was on that. How long was that show?
That was the 24
hour. Yeah. And you were the closing act, pretty much.
I can't believe it. So I've been a huge WFMU fan since I've been a kid, and the Best Show is a big part of my life. And Tom Sharpling is such a huge influence on my sense of comedy and music and everything. So that was a big honor for me to be on that show. I can't believe that happened. That was a good thing.
We could talk about Best Show literally for this whole episode. We're not going to, but that show, I mean, that lineup was bananas. The number of guests on that 24-hour show, like
Leighton, can I just brag for a second, Leighton, tell you who I was in the company of?
Yes.
Conan O'Brien, Jarvis Cocker, the dude from Red Cross. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Sudan Archives, I think. Was
Sudan Archives.
Show, right?
She was amazing.
Yeah. She was incredible. So many people showed up for that I was like, oh shit. I thought it was great.
You talk about the Best Show a good bit. I'm a big fan of Tom Sharpling from Double Threat, and I have not listened to much WFMU.
That's so cool that you know him from Double Threat, though. It's like a whole different thing. So it's awesome.
But if you had to pitch Best Show to people at home who have never listened to it, how would you both pitch it?
I would say it's a comedy show for music lovers, like record collectors kind of people. The humor gets a little deeper with the inside baseball music jokes.
Oh yeah.
Great. But also there's a sense of urgency there because it's live and there's live callers. That excites me a lot. I like live radio. I listen to live call-in like bad radio still, just because I like the sense of urgency. It's like, why is SNL better than Mad TV? It's because it's live. They could fuck up, right? And that adds a whole nother exciting thing to the listening aspect to it. So I would say that that's another aspect to it that I really like.
Yeah, I think that's a great description. And then what I would couple that with is the bits, the Sharpling and Worcester bits, are like nothing anyone else is doing in comedy, where they go on for an indeterminate length of time. Could be 5 minutes, could be an hour and a half, and you just never know what's going to happen. So what I like is this sense of they take these insane left turns constantly, and you end up at some place you never thought you would be given where you started. And I think it is kind of a unique thing right now. And indeed, since, they've been doing it 20 something years or something, I don't think there's anything else quite like it in comedy. And there's also, and I say this as a compliment, they're not trying to be funny for like 75% of those bits. It's just like a sustained aura of weirdness that I find very compelling.
We definitely didn't sell you on this show with our description.
No, but that's the best encapsulation I've heard of it, because Brian talks about it a ton, but I have not really known much about it other than I enjoy Tom Sharpling a lot.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
FMU is just such an awesome, unique place. I grew up in North Jersey. I volunteered at FMU when they were in the old house. In the 90s. Yeah, because I grew up listening to it. I wasn't next to it, but I was, within, I could get the signal where I was. So I've been listening to FMU ever since I was a kid, and got really into 7 Second Delay when they started doing that. The Ken Friedman.
Andy and Ken.
Andy and Ken. Within the first year of 7 Second Delay starting, I was listening. And Andy, to this day, is one of my, comedy heroes.
Me too.
I love 7 Second Delay. I still listen to every episode of that show. And what I love about WFMU is that talk about a thing for music obsessives. They let DJs kind of just do their own thing. It's entirely listener sponsored, so they don't have to worry about ads and anything like that. They'll have a show which is just like weird avant-garde classical. And then they'll have another person who's just reggae schoolroom, or the person who only plays top 40, number one hits. It's all over the map, and you never know what you're going to get. And they take real chances there in a way that a lot of places don't.
What does WFMU stand for?
I don't know. That's a good question. No one knows what call letters stand for, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming the U is Uppsala. So I think it's W because that's in the call letter.
Right.
FM.
That's just East Coast radio call letter.
East Coast radio call letter. FM is like FM.
Oh,
band.
And then the college it started at.
Yeah. So that's what I've always assumed.
Look, that's that scientist mind breaking stuff down like that. Did you see that Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode was on WFMU this weekend, and he's a huge fan.
I did not see that.
He stopped by the studios and he talked to Evan Funk Davies, and he talked about what a fan he is, and he talked about Reggae Schoolroom. He said, "Oh, it's my favorite show." Isn't that amazing?
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
Cool.
So you grew up not in New Jersey, right?
No, I grew up in Los Angeles, and as soon as I could get WFMU on streaming, I did, and I was hooked.
Because they were pretty early in the streaming game, right?
Totally. As soon as I turned it on when I was 15 years old, I discovered tons of music. I remember the first day clicking on that reel player.
Oh, I used to listen to that reel player. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've just been hooked ever since. And I ended up loving the talk show, 7 Second Delay and Best Show. And then later on, Andy gave these kids, he had every year he would have a 7 Second Delay show where listeners could call in and pitch a show for the new season.
Right. I remember that.
And he'd give them some shows sometimes.
Yes.
And these kids called in and they're like, "Hey, Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Art Bell's gone. Let us do this one called Night People." And he let them, and it was good. And I started producing that show from LA when I was
I didn't know that. Oh, shit.
Well, just a little bit, like booking guests and writing segments and stuff. So that helped me figure out how to do performance on audio performances and stuff. So I crazy. I was such a fan. I wanted to get involved somehow too,
That's awesome. Yeah. I know Night People. I remember that.
Those guys.
Yeah. That's wild. So I've seen you perform, both live and streaming. So I want to hear about, your musical journey.
Well, I grew up in Los Angeles, Mexican family, a lot of gangster cousins and uncles. And so I was around that culture a lot, which was like lowrider subculture, and all those people listen to funk music, Zapp and Roger, P-Funk, Isley Brothers. And my parents were way into soul music and stuff. And so that music was always around. I grew up, I got more into punk and metal, of course, as a kid does, to rebel. But I always, had a deep love of funk, soul, ska, reggae. And I moved to the Bay Area, and I was there for 15 years in Oakland, San Francisco area. And I played bass, and I played in a lot of punk and metal bands because it was easy for me. And it was easy for me to slip into that scene and just play that music and join bands. And I became a reliable bass player. But after about 10 years of doing so, I was like, oh man, what am I doing? I'm just like doing whatever's easy. I'm not really challenging myself. And I kind of did a lot of self-reflection, and I asked myself, what did I want to do? When I was in my teens and early 20s, I made little funny records under the name Chaki. I would do remixes and stuff like in the early days of the internet. And it got some attention. Like there was a DJ named a producer named Plastic Man who like played some of my remixes at this huge party in Europe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, but it stopped after a while. And I was just playing in these metal and punk bands, and I got too comfortable, I think. So I said, what do I really want to do? What's the music in my heart and my soul? And it really is funk music. That's what I love. That's what my true love in life is. And I gave myself some rules, some constraints. I said, I want to use all hardware. I don't want to have any laptops on stage. I want to have a vocoder voice like Zapp and Roger and sing that way. I want to be able to play bass, kind of make bass the lead instrument. And, I want to be an alien. I want to be like P-Funk, Sun Ra. Like when I think about what I love to see on stage, it's like these characters, in this world I could fall into. So I said, I want to be like that. So I worked on it, and I sat in my room and figured out how I can do this thing with this keyboard, and how can I get a vocoder. And I'm not good with equipment at all. Like I think I've heard you mention this before, Brian. Like you just use what you use, and we're not like really gearheads in that way. I'm not a gearhead.
No, I'd rather think about the music, not the gear.
Right. And in my experience, the dudes who always have the most expensive shit always suck.
100%. It's NAM, right?
Yeah.
I don't need, that $10,000 keyboard because it's got the best sequence.
And I don't mean just dudes. I'm sorry. People of all genders who have the most expensive shit suck. You could just suck no matter who you are.
Although, let's be honest, it's mostly ponytail dudes, right?
It is. Uh-huh. But I figured out, how to get this keyboard that, and I'm not rich, so I had to get everything on a budget. But I figured it out. And, I've been doing it for about 5 years now as this solo project Chaki, where I wear a cape and I do this funk thing on stage. And it's got to be the most artistically fulfilling thing I've ever done. I got to figure out how to make a proper record. So that's what I'm in the midst of now. How do I translate this to a record? I have an EP out now that this German label put out. And I'm proud of it, but it's not truly what you experience when like you see me live. So I'm trying to figure that out now. What's the secret sauce?
That's hard to do, dude.
Yeah, like Planet Booty too. Like, but they managed to do it a lot, and so
they do. But I think Planet Booty is a good example of I love their recorded music, but there is a magic to their live act that is not there in the recorded music. And that's not to say the recorded music isn't great, because it is, but how you channel that live energy to recording that's a dark art that I don't really understand.
Especially when my music is me, who I make stuff in my bedroom, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. On a computer. I don't have access to like a great studio with great mics and stuff. So like there's no way I can make it sound live, but I'm figuring it out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's awesome. Yeah, no, your live act rules.
Thank you so much.
Like within 5 seconds, I was like, I'm in.
Thank you. It means so much to me coming from you. And I
thank you.
Have such admiration for you guys too. So that's huge for me. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much, man. I've always gravitated towards that, like, for one of a better term, the vibe of there's a lot going on here. When you see a performer like that, you're kind of scratching the tip of the iceberg. I like the feeling that there's a mythology that I don't fully understand. I think this also is why the best show is so appealing to me, because it's like you can see little parts of it bubbling up, but to really grok what's happening, it feels like you're going to have to dig a little to like fully get it. And I like that feeling.
For me, that stuff comes from P-Funk, which is like,
Totally.
what is the P-Funk mythology? I don't know, but it's there. And it's like in every song, there's motifs and themes, and there is full liner notes of stories, but like, what is it? You know what I mean? But it's there, and I could fall into it for hours and hours and hours and read about it. And so I try to do that stuff. I'm a huge horror fan, of course, as dudes my age are. And so I try to incorporate like monster funk, and like I have monsters dancing on stage and stuff when I can. And so thank you for noticing about the world building, which is like, I don't try to be specific about it. It just kind of comes naturally, as it does for you guys too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Do you know Major Entertainer? Have you ever seen him?
Yeah, Mike Hickey, my buddy.
Yeah, you guys are buds. Okay, so
pals,
I've done stuff with him too.
I love that guy.
I was going to say, I assumed you would have a lot in common musically and personally.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, we have a couple shows together coming up this summer, so I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
I was about to say that I think with any sort of world building, there has to still be mystery. Like you see it a lot of times with a lot of like amateur, maybe reddit.com/r/world building people, where they're like, I have to build out every single detail and tell everybody every single detail. And it's like, you've killed it. It is dead now because you over-explained it. There needs to be like some degree of mystery that's sort of like you get flashes of it, but you don't see the entire thing. I think that is like an important part of the world building magic trick.
What's an example of something that doesn't leave any mystery? And I'm going to say maybe like Dune doesn't. Maybe it's just so like black and white. I love Dune, but it is just so like black and white. Like, here's how the world works. There is these people. It doesn't have that one mystery thing. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example of something like that.
I guess a good example of something that is actively fuck you to anybody trying to get all the answers is like Twin Peaks, but that's an easy choice.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't like fantasy stuff very much. It's just kind of not my bag, but I feel like that is one of the most like criminal versions of it, where it's like, oh, you're introducing a bunch of words that you are now going to define, and everything is just very neatly laid out, neatly answered. And I don't want that from media at all.
Tolkien like kind of set up that template, right? By just like, I'm going to describe everything, right?
Well, and I think his estate didn't do him any favors by releasing every fucking scrap of paper he ever wrote shit on as some kind of collected works, where, the guy went so overboard with it that I find it exhausting. And look, I like Lord of the Rings as much as the next guy, but I remember trying to read the Silmarillion in high school and just being like, oh my fucking, like, just kill me with this. And I was into it too. I could not get through it. And I know some people really get into that, but I agree. It's just too much.
I mean, it's sort of like everybody is a gearhead about something. Even if you were not a gearhead about music gear or whatever. I mainly mean that everybody's a nerd about something, but it's funnier to say that somebody's like a fantasy lore gearhead or something. Like everybody needs the thing that is intensely, intricately detailed to park their brain at. But for some people, that's over explaining every fictional thing. And I think about my therapist one time was saying like, I don't read a lot of fiction because it's all made up. And as a writer, I was like, you know what? I cannot help but respect that.
I think that's so funny.
I'm on that same wavelength as your therapist. And like even scripted TV now is hard for me. It's hard for me to watch a comedy show and not just picture a writer's room full of like Twitter people in there. I'm like,
Very true.
Totally.
But it's not like reality TV is any less scripted. It's just like less Twitter people, I think.
Yeah.
Anything I consume, I want as few Twitter people as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, I wanted to circle back to the Parliament thing because that was a big one for me growing up too. I remember the first time, he said Cerno's devoid of funk. I was like, what? What are you talking about? There's this deep mythology, which was so foreign to me in so many ways. It was just endlessly compelling with the amazing musicianship behind it, right? Parliament really sucked me in as a kid because you have these incredible songs with what the fuck is happening to provide context to all of this.
Yeah. At first, for me, it was impenetrable. And I'll tell you why. I remember me, buying my first P-Funk tape at the warehouse or something. And I was, 12 or 13 maybe. And it was the Motor Booty Affair, which is like kind of a later one.
Yep.
And it starts with this song called Mr. Wiggles the Worm.
Yes.
And it's like this worm singing in this cartoon voice. And the keyboards are all like, it's Bernie Worrell, but he's doing like cartoon noises. And I was like, what is, this isn't funky. What's happening? I was expecting like some We Want the Funk Gap Band shit.
Right.
And I put that tape away for a long time and didn't ever think about it again. So I'm like, this is weird. This is cartoon. It's like, it's not for kids. It's not for adults. I don't know what this is. This is weird. And I just never thought about it. So it took me a while to figure it out as I kept listening. And then, you know, what helped me was I got into Funkadelic more because they're more guitar, rock and roll, no mythology, just like my baby loves me and I'm gonna fuck her. Like that's that kind of
yes. And then a 20-minute guitar solo. Yes.
And then Parliament, you go back to Parliament and there's like all the mythology and the crazy and the horns and the cartoon noises and stuff. So it took me a second, but I knew the singles growing up. George Clinton was always on TV in the 80s because he was silly looking and he had Atomic Dog was a big hit. So I knew he was like that crazy looking guy, but I didn't realize how big Parliament was in the 70s and how big of an influence they had on music and Talking Heads connection, this Red Hot Chili Peppers connection, just everything. It took me a while. I think I was like, in my mid-teens and I'm like, okay. But going to see the show, the All-Star, P-Funk All-Star shows, which they play all the time when I was a kid. And you go see them at the street festival. I saw them so many times. And seeing anything live helps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it took me a while to get into Parliament and figure it out and unlock it and put the puzzle pieces together because it just wasn't around that much when I was young.
Same. The heyday had passed. It was more like, I got in through Give Up the Funk and that sort of stuff, the hits. Actually, I remember I bought Uncle Jam Wants You from the WFMU catalog.
Which is another difficult one. That's a weird album.
It's a weird album and it's got a lot of great songs. I think Freak of the Week is on that album, like Uncle Jam Wants You, of course.
Yeah, Not Just Knee Deep takes up the whole side two of that.
Yes, it's insane. And I remember having this epiphany when I was looking at the cover, like a year after I got the album, and I was like, wait, is that the bop gun? I think he's holding the bop gun.
I just had the same revelation that this many years later. So I'm like, oh my God, that's the bop gun next to him.
It's the bop gun. But it took a minute because it was just a lot going on. Also, do you remember the exclamation of Funkitation on the back of the album?
Yeah. There's liner notes that are book length and it's still a weird, mysterious world that they built. I don't even think they know the world they built. They were just going by the seat of their pants too.
Well, and they were on, as much drugs as they could physically take. So I don't think coherent world building was necessarily, I think they were just doing cool shit.
But that's why it's the best world building. It's the best kind because it's just like, what? They're just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. And now I can name every album, every song. I can name every guy that was in the band from 1959 till now. You know what I mean? Now I'm a super gearhead about it, as you were saying.
Yeah. The closest I ever got to seeing any of those guys live, although that's not true. I saw Maceo a bunch of times doing his own thing, who's a crazy good performer. That was a great show. When I was in college, little college, Northwestern Massachusetts, they brought Bernie Worrell and Buckethead when they were doing their Praxis thing. I was like, oh my, I'm a keys player. It's like fucking Bernie Worrell. Oh my God, the guy. And maybe 20 people showed up for this show. And this is before Buckethead was like Buckethead. He was Buckethead, but it wasn't capital B Buckethead. And they're playing a cafeteria in this tiny college in Northwestern Massachusetts.
Oh my God.
And we're hopefully getting paid very well for it. But there were like 20 people there who were like very into it. And nobody else even gave two shits about these guys.
That's amazing.
And I just remember being like, 5 feet from the stage, watching Bernie Worrell, like the architect of, keyboard funk, P-Funk keyboards, and being like, who's that guy with the KFC thing on his head? He's a pretty sick guitarist.
Back up for a second. What's a bop gun?
Look, can I explain it?
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. There is a wave of unfunkiness, Leighton, and it's taken over the world.
It's a big problem. It's a big fucking problem.
Sir Nose Devoid of Funk is the guy who's shooting everyone with this thing called the bop gun, right?
And that's D' void of funk.
Yeah, he has a long nose. He is not funky. He hates to dance. He hates dancing.
To dance. He really hates it.
So if he shoots you with the bop gun, you get the syndrome, the placebo syndrome, which makes you not funky, and it just makes your life a bummer, right? You're unfunky. You got to be funky in life, in this world, through life. The way out of to cure yourself from the placebo syndrome of unfunkiness is to get hit with the flashlight. Flashlight. I don't know if you've heard that song before.
It's one of their bigger hits. Yeah.
So if you get shot with a bop gun, you got to get shown with the flashlight.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope that helps.
Can you do the Sir
That
Nose
was beautiful.
voice at all, Chaki? How does Sir Nose talk?
Well, I don't have a harmonizer on me, but I could go, my name is Sir Void, devoid of funk.
Yeah.
I don't dance. How about that? Is
I
that
don't
okay?
dance. I never. Yeah. Great.
You do it better than I do.
Because I have this kind of nasal voice. Yeah. I never dance.
Ooh,
Does
you
that
sound
kind of
good.
like high thing?
That is no effects, people. That is no
That's right. That's
harmonizer.
natural. That's just my natural
Pure nasal canal.
cavities. Yeah. That's Sir Nose. Again, there's a lot going on in these P-Funk albums. And they're Jersey
I love
guys
that.
too. Parliament, or Plainfield,
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. And Bootsy and his crew are from Cleveland.
Yep.
So there's a Cleveland Jersey thing. You don't get funkier than that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Just for a second, to circle back, I want to touch on this for a second, is when that whole shit was going down with Buckethead and Bill Laswell and Bootsy
Yeah. Zillatron, Lord of the Harvest.
and Bernie Worrell and the drummer from Napalm Death. And, it's like all these
Yes.
people involved. It was crazy. And being a kid during that time who's into Primus and all that shit, and then being to P-Funk, and then this guy, Bill Laswell, was putting all that stuff together. That was mind-blowing. All that stuff was mind-blowing for me when I was a kid.
Yeah. And of course, Les Claypool was like so clearly influenced by all that stuff.
And then you had Les Claypool in there who was playing with all those guys, and then he would
Yep.
throw in Tom Waits in The Residents. I mean, what a
Oh,
time
yeah,
for music.
right.
What a great time for music. for weirdos and weird music,
Speaking of weird music, one of the guys from Barnes and Barnes, a Fishhead, just died.
Yeah, he passed away. Do you know who the other guy in Barnes and Barnes is?
It's Billy Mummy
Billy Mummy, right? Yeah, from Lost in Space.
from Lost in Space. And isn't he the kid from the It's a Good Life Twilight Zone episode? Isn't that him also?
What's that episode? Remind me.
It's the one where the kid has psychic powers.
Oh, yeah.
It was in
yeah.
the 80s movie too, is one of the stories. And basically he's surrounded by these terrified adults who are trying to cater to his every whim because they don't want to get sent to the cornfield.
The cornfield, yeah.
Yeah, that's Billy Mummy. You're right.
Yeah.
Leighton and Brian, are you guys familiar with the concept of YBN? YB normal?
No, I am not.
Okay. YB normal is people are labeling me this. They're probably labeling you this. It's not epic bacon, but it's more, they might be giants, Ween,
Yep.
Barnes and Barnes, Residents. This is YB normal.
Okay.
So this is just like guys just being weird to be weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's, I've been getting labeled YBN lately.
Is this a Zoomer thing or this is like an older school thing?
This is like a Zoomer thing. Punk music is either egg punk or chain punk.
Tell me about this.
Okay, so there's two types of punk rock, okay? There's egg punk and chain punk. That's
Hold
it.
on. Can I guess? Can I
Yeah,
guess?
so I'm just going to give you a band and you have to guess if they're egg punk or chain punk, okay?
Okay. Leighton, we're both going to weigh in on this, okay? We're going to vote.
Yeah, both of you. Blink 182, a band that everyone knows.
I'm going to say that is egg punk.
I'm going to say chain punk.
Brian's right on this one. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Crass.
Chain.
Leighton, what do you say?
I'm just going to be contrarian and say egg.
Brian again is right. So yeah, egg punk is more, happy and brighter, and chain punk is more dark and dirtier. That's what I guess. I mean, it's hard to describe, but it's the same thing. These is a Zoomer, YBN. They have all these great qualifiers right now. I'm into it.
Now, Leighton, as a Zoomer, surely this is your language. You know all about it.
You know me. I'm always talking about egg punk and chain punk and all of the latest.
You have that YBN tattoo.
Yeah, God, I'm real out of touch with what the Zoomers are into.
If this were 20 years ago, this would be the "Let Your Freak Flag Fly" thing. Is YBN?
I guess so, or
right?
like a coexist sticker. Or maybe
Yeah,
it might be like
right.
something like that. Yeah.
That "Let Your Freak Flag Fly" thing was all. I mean, is there anything more off-putting than that statement?
Maybe keep Portland weird might be a little more off-putting. I don't know.
Or, the coexist sticker, but instead of like the religious symbols, it's all like nerd shit.
I've seen that one
yes.
so often lately.
So
It's like
much.
it must have
Yeah.
just gotten sold on Instagram or something because I've been seeing that one everywhere.
That feels like so trenchantly early 2010s to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I will key your car for that sticker.
Can you name all the logos on it?
Oh shit!
Well, there have been like a million variations of it too.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm going to look one up. Oh, there are a lot.
This is grim. This is fucking grim. I love a beacon of capitalism.
Okay, what do we got? We got Death Star, the One Ring, maybe a Xenomorph, the X from X-Files, the TARDIS,
Okay.
the Shazam lightning bolt, and looks like a Star Trek blaster.
Actually, I'd like to correct you. That's not the Shazam lightning bolt. That's the Harry Potter. And I only know
Thank
that.
you.
because
That
it
makes
says it
much
on
more
the
Oh my
sense.
God. Oh my
No
God.
one's into Shazam.
Yeah. Yeah, there are lots of wow, this sucks.
New segment called Wow, This Sucks.
Okay, no, but check this one out. This is really going to blow your mind with how bad this is.
The one
Wow.
with the bat wing is the C.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the E though? Like Internet Explorer? Oh, it's
That's what I thought too. It's
This one sucks because it's reaching.
so hard. The Batwing is the C. Captain
On its
America
side.
shield. Yeah, on the side. Captain America shield is the O. Green Lantern for some reason is showing an E, which is really fucking stupid. Crossed Wolverine claws are the X. You got a Spider-Man web coming out the hand for the I, the Superman S, and then Thor's hammer Mjolnir for the T, which is
It's also none of these are aligned. That Superman logo is like morphed weird.
Oh, yeah, look at this.
Like they were trying to fit it into the
Yeah.
space.
it's
Look, I
going
know that
down
trick. Come on.
diagonally. Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. If we had to coexist for this show, what symbols would be in our coexist? I feel like the S could be one of the snakes from the Ninja Brian
Sure.
logo. What do you call it?
Dragons.
The dragons. Thank you. Snakes. Got it.
The C would be a drippy, cummy C, of course.
That's a gimme, like the Green Lantern E. You have to like pick an object that's at least C-shaped.
Just have a big C and then have it say "come" really quiet, like
There we
really
go.
small
Thank
next
you.
to it.
There we go. There we go. I'm sure we could force a mayo jar with a letter on it into this.
The X is the hard one.
Yeah, the X is the hard one. I feel like I don't care enough to finish this bit.
No, I definitely don't. In fact, we're going to outsource this for everyone listening. Please come up with something here.
Please make us a late night coexist.
Mine would just be all Trader Joe's food items. That's all I eat. Right here.
Hold on. Expand on that because I
Yes.
need to hear
No.
what your favorite Trader Joe's items are.
I don't have a favorite. I don't eat it because I like it. I eat it because it's close by and it's cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know. One would be potato chips in the shape of a C. The cheap mezcal is the I. One of those shitty frozen pizzas is the O. 2 English cucumbers is the X. There you go.
Did they dial back on the fucking like Trader Jose's or Trader Giotto's shit?
I think so.
It just reeks of corporate comedy. It's so dumb.
Talk about mysterious world building. Trader Joe's is a weird company.
Why are we on a ship? We're on
No
a
one
fucking
knows
ship
about
for some
them.
reasons. Yeah.
They're run by like mysterious people, and the way they get their products, it's products you can buy in the store, but they relabel them and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a weird ass company.
Have you heard the thing? I'm sure you have because everyone's heard this, but they're required to ask you about something or make a comment about something when you check out.
If I could leave a Trader Joe's without them talking about my food I'm buying, then I consider my day successful because I hate that shit.
Too friendly.
Don't even acknowledge what I'm buying. Please. I'm embarrassed.
Yes. Anytime
Yes.
I go to the grocery store, I dread going to check out just because it's like, don't perceive me.
Yes, I know
please.
I'm getting a kombucha that's $6. Don't.
Yeah.
I know. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's like
okay?
I'm getting a whole box of Uncrustables and a box of cosmic brownies. Yes, I eat like a 4-year-old. Please just let me maintain this illusion that I am an adult
Yeah.
and not 3 children in a trench coat.
Have you experienced this, Leighton, at Trader Joe's? Do you go at all?
Yeah, Brian,
Okay.
I think I was the one who told you that
Oh, shit. You probably were.
on
Yeah.
an early, like, single-digit episode of the show.
So you're with me, though. It's like annoying, right?
It sucks.
It's sweet. I used to be really charmed by it. You know, I haven't been to Trader Joe's since I moved out here.
They saw you. They're like, here's a mark right here. We're going to hit him with this.
Because the parking lot, it's parking lot too little. I don't want to fuck with it.
Always. Worst parking lots in the country. Absolutely.
So bad But back home in North Carolina, we had a Trader Joe's, and I was always like, oh my God, they're so nice to me. And then I found out that it was corporate mandated niceness. So,
Well,
Yeah.
I've been asking a couple people, and they say it's not company policy.
really?
They said that. They've never told me to do that.
They
I
just
do it.
hire assholes.
I don't know. I don't know what to believe because it's every time.
It's every time. Maybe it's like an unwritten rule, right? You know, like you see a couple people doing it and your supervisor is not going to write you up for not doing it, but you might be just encouraged to, you know, be a little friendly or something like that.
The way to be friendly to me when I'm checking out is to just cone of silence, just mutual.
Actually, I have a very
Mutual
specific
silence.
problem with Trader Joe's I want to get into right now, which is the following. I like tangerine juice. I prefer it to orange juice. However, the tangerine juice at Trader Joe's, you'll buy it, and roughly 50% of the time, it goes bad immediately. Like you open it up, pour a glass, and then it like insta-ferments. And the next day you try to drink it, and it is undrinkably fermented. It happens so consistently with the tangerine juice that I've stopped buying it because it seems to go bad overnight.
So this problem isn't just limited to tangerine juice at Trader Joe's.
Tell me.
Anything you buy in the veggie section will go bad the next day if you don't eat it. Stuff at Trader Joe's goes bad so fast. You have to eat it in the car sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah. I did want to ask, actually, before we go into segments, I'm going to talk a little more about Planet Booty because I love talking about Planet Booty.
Yeah.
Did you discover those guys when you were in Oakland?
Oakland, yep.
Yeah. Was that like just by performing on the same kind of circuit or what?
Yeah. Just like I would hear about these. Hey, have you heard about this band? Have you heard about this? No, what's going on? Oh man, they're from Oakland. What? Oh, they are. Check more out. Whoa, these guys are awesome.
Yeah,
Go
right.
see them live. Oh my God, these guys are amazing. Met them. Oh my God, these guys are the best. You know what I mean? Just like
They
that
really
kind of
are the best.
trajectory. Yeah. And it's so funny in Oakland. It's a small scene, but it's so many different broken up scenes. Nobody in my friend circle knew who they were. So I got all my friends into them. People there don't know about them as much as they should.
I feel like that's true of people everywhere. Like, yeah.
Yep.
But they're from Oakland. Like
I know.
that's huge for funk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That band, I think I have teared up more watching them than any other band because you know we've toured with them, and I just remember all these shows. So we would often have two openers, and they'd be on first because they are. I mean, talk about just bringing up the energy in every room they walk into. It's just it's like from 0 to 60 like that. And I just remember being, you know, watching them every night from the side of the stage, welling up because I'm like, how did I get so lucky to work with these guys, like the best people I know doing this amazing act in this huge, you know, just influx of positivity. Those guys mean so much to me as people and as a band. I want them to be superstars.
How did you discover them?
So Twerp, our backing band and a great band in their own right, was paired with them on one of their tours as an opening act. And they almost did the like, you know, Chuck, it's your cousin Marvin kind of thing from the side of the stage to me. They were like, you have to go check out Planet Booty right now, like texting me from watching the show. They were like, these guys are going to become your favorite band. And when Twerp, they did a tour together and played the Roxy here in LA, and I went to see the show, and I was like, oh yeah, yep, that's it. And like on the spot, I texted Danny and NSP. I was like, we have a new opening band. Like these guys are the best fucking thing I've ever seen. So yeah, that was the connection through Twerp.
Awesome.
That's so sweet. Chaki, I had a question for you. When you introduce yourself, you said that you're a tour guide.
Yes.
What do you guide?
Okay, so during pandemic, I moved back to LA and I didn't have a job and I needed to make some money. And so I created a tour out here. So I do the Punk Rock Graveyard Tour here in Hollywood, California. If you want to see, it's a walking tour about 2 hours long of a bunch of punk and goth legends. And I talk about them. And it's a good tour. It's a fun tour. It's at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which they have their official tour there. But it's a lot of like silent film stars and directors and stuff and producers from like the early days of film, and I don't know anything about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll probably will never see these people's movies, these silent, mediocre comedies from, the early days of film. Like, I don't care about that stuff. But that tour is great. Carrie Bible, who does it, she's awesome. It's great and so smart. But I'm like, oh my God, there's like the coolest people here from the music world, the rock and roll world, the punk world that I love. And so I put together this tour, and I keep discovering, it's such a dense place, I keep discovering more. And here's who took my tour this weekend. If you can see there's me and Matt Berry at
yeah. Dude, that's awesome.
Wow.
So if it's good enough for Matt Berry, it's good enough for you. People look up Punk Rock Graveyard Tour on the internet if you ever want to take that tour. It's fun. It's a fun day in Hollywood.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I love it. I just do it on the side because I love it. It's fun for me to do. You know what I mean? And
you're independent of the cemetery. You just do the tour there, or you're part of the you like work for the cemetery?
No, I love them. They're great. Yeah, but I work independently of them. And it's a great place to just hang out. Like, it's very
awesome.
open to the public.
Oh, yeah.
But I used to do something similar. My good buddy and bandmate, Adam Papagan, is a tour guide. And he created tours in LA, like the OJ tour, where he drives you around in a white Bronco, and the Curb Your Enthusiasm tour.
There's a Curb Your Enthusiasm tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does that one. He does the Real Housewives tour. And so him and I put together a Disneyland tour for this website, Atlas Obscura. They hired us to do this.
Yeah.
And it was the dark side of Disneyland, where we told you, like, well, here's where this person died, and here's where this person died.
That's a great idea.
Thank you. And it was a great tour. Like, it was fun. And Disneyland had to let us do it. Because it's a slippery slope if they start telling people they can't give tours there. You know what I mean? And they said, look, just as long as you don't interfere with the guests' time who aren't in the tour, you could go for it. So I'm like, I'm just going to do guerrilla tours at places. I don't care.
That's awesome, dude. I love it.
Yeah. Now I'm cool with the staff. They know me now, and it's all good. It's all good now.
Is that considered a public place?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, it's not owned by the city or anything, but it's open to the public. It's privately owned.
I went to a graveyard recently, not Hollywood Forever, because a older relative of mine died, and Jewish cemetery somewhere near Culver City, and they had this big thing on a hill, like this big column thing, and I was like, "What is that?" So my wife and daughter walk up there, and she's like, "You are never going to guess whose grave this is." I took a few guesses. Nope, Al Jolson.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. That grave is amazing.
It's got the whole thing up there. What do they call it? Like the sweet songbird of Israel or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's, obviously a monumentally huge star in his day.
Absolutely.
But not the grave I would have expected.
A lot of cool people are buried in Culver City. Tons of famous people are buried in Culver City. You got Bela Lugosi there.
Leonard Nimoy
there. In the cult weirdo underground world, you got Darby Crash is buried there from the Germs.
Oh, in
Culver City. And Sharon Tate is buried there.
Oh, wow. Right. Yes, we looked that up.
Right next to Bela Lugosi. So, yeah.
Right.
Everyone go to that Culver City cemetery. It's awesome.
It was very cool. All right. So we're going to move on to some segments now. So our first segment, now, Chucky, you know this because you've listened to the show, but our first segment is our pop culture recommendation segment.
Can I go get mine? I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
Yeah. It's very important for me to do the intro with him here, so I'm going to wait to do it.
That's respectful. You don't want to waste anybody's time, of course.
I'm Dr. Respect. My arch enemy is Dr. Disrespect. Thank you. That was a good joke. I know it was. Thank you. All right.
Sorry.
No worries. So our first segment is our pop culture recommendation segment. This is where you get to talk about a book, a movie, a video game, something you've been enjoying recently that you'd like to recommend to others. This segment is called What's Poppin', and it does have a theme song, but as always, I don't have the ability to play that theme song, but it does go added in post here.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? So now, Chuck, I have to ask you, when you were listening to the show before, did you hear the theme?
Yes.
What did you think of it?
Fantastic. Better than 90% of podcast themes out there. So
Wow. High praise indeed. And he actually heard it too. Most of our guests haven't heard it. They just have to guess what they would feel like. but you actually heard it. So thank you.
Well, to the future guests, I say, do your fucking research.
Well, look, you said it, not me. There we go. Yeah. Layden, what's popping?
What's popping for me is I was just watching a lot of Key and Peele sketches on YouTube the other day because every once in a while I just need to watch the Terry sketch for my soul. It's good for me. But what's popping is I didn't know they have blooper reels. And so if you just go on YouTube and search Key and Peele bloopers, there's only a few of them, but they are as great as you would expect them to be. And some of them are from the Terry sketch. So. Oh,
really? There's Terry's bloopers?
There are, yeah.
I got to go see Terry's bloopers.
It's absolutely delightful. Those guys are so talented and iconic. Just amazing.
Malcolm Barrett, always great. Always
truly
great
doing one of the very best straight men performances in a sketch of all time.
He's incredible in that.
Did I miss something? Is what always gets me.
What does he say? That's the last thing I want. That's the last thing I want. He's so great and everything.
Brian, what's popping for you?
Well, this has been a big week for me because I have gone from being the sort of person you think would have watched Columbo to being the sort of person that watches Columbo.
The new one or the original?
I'm not even aware that there's a new one.
Poker Face, you mean?
Yeah, right. Why have I never, and this is true, given my age and demeanor, you would think I would have seen a lot of episodes of Columbo. However, I have not. And they're all on Peacock, so I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to start watching Columbo. And 5 minutes in, I was watching it with Rachel, my wife. 5 minutes in, I turned to her and I'm like, this rules. This is exactly what I wanted to be. Pilot episode, by the way, directed by Spielberg, which I didn't realize, and written by Stephen Bochco. And it is such an artifact of its time that it reads almost like a parody of a 70s detective show. It's just great. Peter Falk rules.
Peter Falk is the fucking best. I've never watched Columbo, but he's awesome.
Oh my God. He's the most Peter Falk in Columbo. You got to see. Layden, I'm so excited for you to watch Columbo. You're going to love it.
Okay. All right. I got to get
it. It is really great. And so Rachel, anytime she watches an older show, she plays a game, which is, have any of the guest stars dated one of the Golden Girls? On the show, The Golden Girls. And Columbo has a pretty hot track record for guest stars that have been on The Golden Girls and dated The Golden Girls. It's just great. There's some filmmaking, just insane stylistic choices. In the second episode, they do a thing. So a guy murders someone. And then there's a solid 2 or 3 minutes close up on his face where in his glasses are playing out the scenes of like how he's going to hide the body. And they've like freeze framed his face, and on the lenses of his glasses, these things are playing out, and it goes on way too long. It goes on so long that, and you can't understand visually what's happening because they're kind of tiny. You're just like, what was going through the mind of this director? But it totally works. I'm so into it. Also, in the pilot episode, Chucky, do you remember Columbo's omelet he makes in the pilot episode?
I don't.
He goes over to this woman's house. And
excuse me, ma'am, do you have a couple of eggs in a pan?
Yes. And he makes an omelet the following way. He gets some eggs. He cracks them into a bowl. And then he takes an onion and doesn't chop, but slices it. And then dumps it into the bowl with the eggs, not the pan. So he slices an onion, again, not chops, into the bowl with the eggs, and then grates some cheese into the bowl.
We got to recreate that.
Well, I looked, and there is, in fact, a recipe online called Columbo's Omelet, where someone tried to recreate Columbo's
omelet. I think there's
omelet.
a Cooking with Columbo book that came out in the 70s,
my God.
like a Columbo cookbook that came out.
Amazing.
I swear.
Brian, I know what I'm getting you for your birthday.
Yeah,
well, for Hanukkah.
The other thing I didn't realize is all the episodes are like 72 minutes long. They are so long. The show just takes its time in a way only a 70s detective show can. It's really great. I love everything about it. And it is, I knew this going in. Clearly, Poker Face has ripped off literally everything from Columbo, and in an unknowing way, from the font that they use in the titles.
And she always has a cigarillo instead of a cigarette. Cigar.
That's right.
Cigar. But it's a tribute to the cigar, I think, right?
Right.
Have either of you seen a woman under the influence, the Cassavetes?
Oh, of course. I'm a big Cassavetes guy.
I haven't seen it.
He's great.
I love him.
Oh, Brian, it's prime Peter Falk. It's really great.
I gotta see it.
It's a thing to be endured, but it's very
Peter
beautiful.
Falk buried in Westwood, by the way.
Oh.
His grave is right across from John Cassavetes. You could go visit them both at the Westwood.
That's cool.
Really?
Cemetery. Yeah, that cemetery is amazing. It's big as a parking lot. But okay, here's some episode highlights. I'm so excited to be here for the Columbo talk. Later, Columbo, they brought him back and canceled and TV movies of the weeks for a while. There's a great 90s.
They Perry Masoned him. Yes.
Yeah. There's a great 90s Columbo where he goes to a rave. That's really good.
Oh, nice.
He has to find a murder at a rave. So that's really good.
It's the equivalent of Quincy with the punks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I don't know if you got to the John Cassavetes Hollywood Bowl episode yet, though, but it's the best episode. That's my favorite.
I did not.
one.
I'm literally on episode 2 of season 1 right now. So I've just started watching it.
Okay. I think it's season 2. Cassavetes, Peter Falk, Columbo, Etude in Black. Amazing episode.
God. Okay. Great.
Wow. I might need to hop on this Columbo train.
I think you're really going to like it.
Watch the Cassavetes one first, maybe, and then watch the Spielberg directed one. Then you're in. You're in.
And it's not like serialized at all, right? It's just straight up case of the week.
Oh, yeah. There's no overarching story arc here.
Yeah.
That's good. I wish more shows were like that now. I hate that everything has to be a big season arc every single time.
But it gets formulaic. So, Detective Columbo is going to figure it out. So what's the fun in it? The fun is in the guest stars, the settings, how he's acting, playing off of them and stuff. You know what I mean? You start getting into that shit.
Yeah. And in that pilot episode, the main bad guy is Jack Cassidy, father of David and Sean, who is the ultimate, avuncular asshole. Practically, you can see the ascot coming from a mile away.
Directed by Mr. Fableman himself.
That's right. When he was a baby. I mean, that was 1971.
Right. As soon as he walked out of that office with David Lynch, he went right to direct the Columbo episode. You didn't see the Fableman side yet.
I want to. So what was it? Lynch plays John Ford. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see that.
And if you don't want to see it, you can just go right on YouTube and see that scene, which we did last night after the Oscars when my friends and I'm like, have you guys seen the Lynch scene? No, it's already on YouTube. The end of a movie that's not even out yet.
I love it. Chucky, what is popping?
Okay. My friend Sean Carnage came over a little while back and he brought me a book. And I know he wasn't just regifting this book because it was wrapped in plastic, like straight from the factory. So I was like, oh, thank you. He's like, I just read this, so I'm getting you a copy. He didn't want to give me his copy. He got me my own copy. So I'm very excited. So I'm this far deep into this book called Hawkwind, Days of the Underground, Radical Escapism in the Age of Paranoia by Joe Banks.
Whoa. What is it?
It's like a day-by-day account of the band Hawkwind, how they started, and just it's very linear, which I love because fiction's all made up. Here's what they were doing then, this. So for those of you who don't know, we're this super duper psychedelic band in the 70s out of England. Lemmy from Motorhead was in Hawkwind before Motorhead. And talk about world building. They had a narrator on stage who were talking about their spaceship and the planet they're from. And their music was made to take you to outer space. And it really did.
Yeah.
And their space music. So I'm fully ensconced in the world of Hawkwind right now. So much so I'm a Hawk Lord. I'm just listening to their records nonstop. And this book is very good. So I recommend this book, Hawkwind, Days of the Underground, Radical Escapism in the Age of Paranoia by Joe Banks.
Is it a fictional version of Hawkwind, or it's
No.
actual...
This is very straight ahead. Here's who was in the band on this day. Here's what they went. Here's where they went to go play a show. Here's what the critics said. It's very linear, very factual. There's a lot of talk of the crazy space world they built.
Right.
Of naked women and fire and spaceships. But it's all real. It's very biographical. But it's just
That's awesome.
It's extensive. It's detailed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good. So get into Hawkwind, people, and this book's really good.
If you had to recommend one song to get people into Hawkwind, what would you say?
I want to say Silver Machine because that's the big hit. That's the big single. It encapsulates in probably 2 minutes and 30 seconds what they're about. So I'll say Silver Machine. But they get way more out than that. They made a music video for it. And they had this 6'4" woman on stage, Stasia, who would dance naked. And she would dance in like crazy paint. And she's in the video, and you could really see like, whoa, these guys are doing something kind of out there. And they're still around. God bless Hawkwood.
Wow.
Awesome.
I love that. Now it is time for our final segment, which is 3 parts gratitude exercise and 1 part petty grousing. And the theme song will go after I say the name of the segment, which is Peaches and Lemons. So the theme song goes right there.
Peaches and lemons. Peaches and lemons.
Amazing. As usual, theme song, perfect. Nothing wrong with it.
No, that's a good one.
And we will each start with a lemon, which is a minor bummer, annoyance, what have you. I will go first. My lemon is daylight savings fuckery. I'm done.
Mhm.
Time's fake. Time is
bullshit.
literally fake. Don't do this to me. That's my lemon.
Yeah, it's stupid. Can we please just move past it and not do this every year?
Why do we do it?
Farmers, blah, 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 I guess.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Now just inertia. But the fact that it's not, and I understand why it's not, worldwide, that every, not even country does it. There's different parts of this country that do it differently. It's like Indianapolis never goes on daylight savings time or something like that. And it's just not consistent. I hate it. If we're going to do something stupid, can we please do it consistently stupid?
Yes. I'm glad that it's not going to be dark at like 5 p.m. now, but we don't have to do this whole rigmarole every time.
Let's just always keep it like this way, where it gets darker later. I like this one better.
Sure. I just want to pick one. I don't even really care which one. I like getting darker earlier personally, but I don't even care which one.
Let's just see, this is where the Great War happens then.
That's
It's
exactly
because,
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once we decide on which
Yes.
one to keep.
As a depressed person, it getting darker earlier in the day is not good for my brain.
Me neither. That's why I'm out at 5. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like my day's over. Yeah. Who else has lemon?
My lemon is, so I got back from this lovely recording session at Sonic Ranch and immediately got sick as fuck. And I don't know what it was. I don't think it was COVID. At least COVID tests were negative, but I've been mildly laid out for the last week where I hate being sick. I know no one likes being sick. I really fucking hate it. I can't turn off effectively. So I think I'm at the tail end of it now.
Do you think you got what Aaron had?
I think so, because it's like sinus, kind of sore throat stuff.
Yeah.
So something was going around between us and the other. It's like 5 bands there at the same time, and people are coming in from all over the world, and the stuff just goes around. You're all eating meals together. And so I was in the studio with Aaron, who was sick, and who the fuck knows what it is, some sinus infection or something. So anyway, that's my lemon. Mildly sick for the last week, but I've been NyQuiling up every night and should be done soon.
That's a luxury. That is a luxury.
It definitely is. The timing worked out well because I didn't have to get up early to take my kid to school and stuff like that, because I at least had a weekend to recover. So that was nice. Yep, that's it.
Chucky, do you have a lemon?
My lemon this week is this place here called the Magic Castle. Do you guys know what the
Yeah.
Magic Castle is?
I have
Indeed.
been, yes.
Yeah, it's this place here. It's up on a hill. It's a goddamn castle, and it's exclusive to special people, and only special people could get in. And my ass can't get in. And F that. That's BS. They should let me in.
They should let everybody in. What the fuck?
You have to know somebody who knows somebody. I want to say F exclusive clubs in general. And Magic is kind of stupid too. So I know you're always going to pick my card. So that's what I want to say. I'm just mad. I like Magic. I'm just mad at that castle right now. I have to drive by it every day, and I'm like, oh, I can't go there to get a drink tonight. You know what I mean?
More like magic assholes.
Wow. You know what? I'll share my Magic Castle. Well, whatever.
Oh, you're going to show off?
Do it.
No, I went once because I had a friend that was performing there, and I ran into a guy I knew who, look, the story isn't going to be good. Basically, the guy was a total dick to me, and that's the end of the story.
I have a similar story. I went there once, and guess who was there? Joe Bob Briggs. And I was like,
Oh, shit.
you showed me so many movies when I was a kid. And then,
Wow.
he was like, leave me alone, dude. Leave me alone. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
sorry.
really? Oh, no. I love him, too.
I fanboyed out
Yeah.
maybe too much, which I tend to do. I do that.
But he ruled. I've been a Joe Bob fan forever. That's a bummer to hear.
Yeah.
All right.
Now it's time for Peaches, where we will each share 3 things that are cool, good, that we're happy about, or that are going to happen. I will go first. My first peach is just milkshakes as a concept. I have a great appreciation for milkshakes.
Oh,
Do each of you have a favorite kind of milkshake?
Yes, I guess.
I've never been a milkshake person, but I have been lately, like the last week. So this is amazing that you're peaching this because when I was a kid, never, for some reason, this week I've been craving milkshakes. So I've been going to In-N-Out and getting a small Neapolitan, which is all three of them.
Move right there. That is my go-to milkshake as well.
And it's been so good. And I have gained like 7 pounds this week. Well, just eating milkshakes.
This is why I don't eat many milkshakes. If I'm going to just have a milkshake, the Neapolitan is our go-to at In-N-Out. I do like just a straight up strawberry milkshake. That's my favorite.
I feel like I'm with you on that, Brian, but it has to be a place that is doing actual strawberry. If it's artificial strawberry, it's not good. But if it's real strawberry, it's like the greatest thing in the world. That's right.
I would say a close second is a cookies and cream milkshake, which is also really good. Yeah.
Also, special mention goes to back home at Cookout, the fast food chain. Their whole deal is that they have like 50 milkshakes, but the very best one is they do an Oreo cheesecake milkshake where they serve cheesecake at Cookout. And so they will put an entire slice of cheesecake in that Oreo milkshake, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah. I've always wanted to go to Cookout. Always.
I've never been.
I miss it so much.
Do you two recognize a distinction between a milkshake and a malted?
Yes.
Yeah.
Taste-wise, I don't exactly know what malt is, but I know what it tastes like.
It's like a fermented thing.
Yeah. A great way to piss off my Midwestern wife is to be like, oh, milkshake's and malteds are the same thing. She will become irate.
It is that time of year where Shamrock Shakes are back at McDonald's. How do you guys feel about Shamrock Shakes?
I've never had one. It's mint, right?
Yes, it's mint. Green.
I don't like mint ice cream.
I love mint ice cream. I'm not too keen on mint shakes, I don't think.
Okay, so, and also McDonald's is bad strawberry shake then, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Are you a Shamrock Shake fan?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I don't crave them. When it's Shamrock Shake season, I don't like make a beeline for McDonald's, but I won't throw it out of bed, you know?
Yeah. All right. Leighton,
great.
Keep peaching.
My second peach is that we are looking at a really great TV season for content. We're getting season 4 of Barry, season 4 of Succession, season 3 of I Think You Should Leave.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I'm just going to be spoiled. Just content rich. I am sad that season 4 for both Barry and Succession are the last seasons, but I intensely respect the choice to end on a high note. So yes, very excited. And then my third peach is that on Friday and Saturday, hung out with Aaron and Susie. We've been watching Aaron play Silent Hill, The Room, which is very entertaining. And then we all went to Alamo Drafthouse to see the new Scream, which was predictably terrible, but I had a great time. And I had a strawberry milkshake and some fried pickles. And I shared a churro popcorn with Susie. I just love Alamo Drafthouse. Even if the movie sucks, it's a good time.
Exactly. It's like pizza.
So those.
Yeah.
The movie sucks. It's still kind of good.
So yeah, those are my peaches.
I love it. Chaki, you want to go?
All right. I've been doing a new podcast with my friend, Bob Calhoun, who's an author, true crime author. But this is a movie podcast because he's so smart. You know, I said earlier that I don't know much about old movies. My movie education kind of starts at like Night of the Living Dead, 1965. You know, I know some of the classic Citizen Kane and stuff, but I'm not a big noir person. Westerns are kind of a blind spot for me. So I told him, we were smoking weed one day and I said, man, I love old stony movies, like weird stuff, like old stuff. You should tell me about some of the older movies. Yeah. And I said, we should do a podcast about it. So we are. It's called like Old Movies for Young Stoners. and so we have a couple episodes out right now. Old Movies for Young Stoners, look it up. But like some old movies that knocked me out recently have been Cleo 5 to 7. I've never seen that before. The Red Shoes I never saw. Oh, it's so good. The Red Shoes I've never seen before. He had me watch a Fellini movie called Juliet of the Spirits. Knocked me out. Anyway, old movies, Sony movies are really cool. That's one bright thing. I just booked my birthday show.
Nice.
My birthday's in May, so I'm getting ahead of it early. And for my birthday present, I didn't want to just play a regular Chaki show. So I said, I kind of want to play the Weezer Blue album. And so, but I can't just do it by myself. So, and I just don't want to be like 4 dudes up there playing the Weezer Blue album. So I put together this concept. It's stupid. It's not good, but it's the Blue Man Group are playing the Blue album. So I've been rehearsing. It's called the Blue Album Man Group, and we'll be playing Corbin Bowl in May. Look for that. And I've been practicing this band with my old buddies, my friends. So it's fun, and it's been really fun. But if you ever wanted to see the Blue Man Group play Weezer's Blue album, that's happening. And then I just want to say congratulations to Hollywood on your biggest night. It was the Oscars recently, and all the winners. I'm really happy for you. So there's 3 peaches for you.
Great.
Wow. I love that.
I love it.
All right, Brian.
Yes.
Peaches.
Number 1 peach. Rachel started a new job today. I won't say exactly what it is, but she's very excited about it. And it's at a cool place, and always exciting to start a new chapter. And so I'm very happy for her, and I think it's going to be fun. Peach number 2. So on this recording session I just came back from, we were in these incredibly awesome, studios with great speakers, which means I got to listen to some of my favorite albums on like the most unbelievable sound system you can imagine. And it's 95% of what I listened to was Al Jarreau, because I could not love Al Jarreau more. So I listened to Breaking Away and Jarreau and just a bunch of different stuff. And to hear those like dialed in productions, I mean, it's smooth jazz adjacent, but it's like these adult contemporary vocal albums with, it's like Steve Gadd and Al Jarreau and like these total monsters in this like crystal clear production on this amazing sound system. There's nothing better. So it's really exciting to, we get in a little earlier than we were going to start working, put them up on the computer and blast them through the big speakers. And what a way to start your morning. There's no better way than by listening to Morning by Al Jarreau.
Oh,
so
that song, knocks me out.
Then that video is I
haven't seen this since I've been a little kid, but isn't it him like talking to a cartoon bird, like zippy doodah kind of stuff?
It's him in a cartoon world, and the animation style is very like Fat Albert style.
Right.
And, there's like a little kid dancing and there's birds and he's green screened into this animated wonderland. It's such a weird artifact of its time. And he is, and I say this with love, Al Jarreau is maybe the least cool person ever. And by virtue of that is the most cool person ever, with his like polo shirts and, he's always looking right at the camera. And,
pastel sweaters, man.
Pastel everything.
Can you do an Al Jarreau impression? I bet you could.
Oh, no, I can't. I can't sing like that. Like, just am I brave enough to try it? No, I am not.
Valid.
Have you ever seen his Take 5 live?
Yes.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It is the greatest thing. And I think it's like viral. I think it's like 60 million hits or something.
Oh, really? It's incredible. I mean, he's so precise with his vocals. And he has that intro where he kind of does that like stutter thing and then starts a rhythm. I mean, he really is a master vocalist, and I could not be a bigger fan. And also that cover to the Jarreau album, which is just his face way too big. It takes up the entire LP sleeve.
Looks like the King Crimson album cover.
Yes, exactly right. What a choice to make. I mean, it's not even like his head. It's like this part of his face. Like you don't even see the top of his head. It's right here. Oh, it's so great.
Another great video of his, I think you would enjoy it quite a lot, both of you, is a Rooftop Garden.
Roof Garden,
that one, yeah. He goes, everybody want to go up on the roof garden.
Yeah,
he says,
like, I want to go up there in the goddamn.
I told you I'd get him to do it. I knew it.
Yes, you got it. Oh, sorry. You did trick me into it, but it was a trap I happily walked into. That video is the greatest thing in the world, except I do have one quibble with that video, which is they replaced George Duke, the keyboard player in the song, with some rando white guy in the video.
He must have been on tour.
He must have been on tour or something, but it's like one of the greatest keyboard players of all time, right? George fucking Duke. And it's I don't even know who the guy is, but to replace George Duke with some like 70s white guy or whatever, I was just like, come on, what are we doing? Like that, it's sacrilege. But Al Jarreau is great in that. And My favorite part about that video is the extreme close-up on guys' dicks in like spandex. There is straight up package all over that video. It's bananas.
And I remember, it was literal bananas. I remember when I was a kid, that was just normal. That was just like, oh, this is just a normal music video. Guys' dicks and spandex are just what's on TV all the time.
All the time.
There's that one scene with John Travolta. Is it Staying Alive, where he's like in the workout scene and he's just...
I think that's Perfect.
Perfect,
right?
thank you. Yeah, where he's just like humping the air. Yeah, like that shit was just normal back then. What the fuck?
Because that's what people wore. Yeah, and I was like, it's so weird because you think of it as maybe a more puritanical time, which it was in many ways. But yeah, spandex was so omnipresent. There's just junk everywhere. It's
unsupported junk.
Unsupported junk. My final peach was going to be that we did finally write Eat Ass, Get Money. But I talked about that. So instead, here's my final peach. So when we were flying to El Paso, it'd been a mildly bumpy plane ride. And we're about half an hour out. Now, I hate turbulence on planes. I know it's not that bad, but scares me irrationally. The captain gets on the thing and he goes, we're going to ask our flight attendants to take our seats now. We've heard reports of the worst kind of turbulence, severe turbulence, and it could come at any time and strike without warning. So everybody sit down. And my heart starts beating a mile a minute in my chest because I'm just terrified. And then we landed in El Paso with nary a single bump. It was just a smooth flight down.
Wow.
And I was terrified the entire time. Knowing that it would have been fine. We would have landed just fine. But still, it was that thing where I kept waiting. We've all been on planes where like suddenly it's, something comes out of the blue. It was totally fine. And I was thankful for that. So that's my final peach.
Nice.
That's good. I get the thing where there's a tiny bit of turbulence and in my head, Final Destination is just fully playing in my head. Yeah.
Yep. But, I've heard we're going to ask the flight attendants to take their seats because it might get a little bumpy. I've never heard the captain say the worst form of turbulence is coming up, which is like, why would you do that to people?
Well, it makes them look like ace pilots because
that's right.
They were so good that you didn't hit any turbulence.
That's right. Chucky, thank you so much for being here today. This was super fucking awesome, man. I'm thrilled to have you on the show.
I had a great time. Thank you both so much. This was awesome, and allowing me to come hang out with you for a while is a huge highlight for me. So thanks so much.
Yeah, this was super fun.
Yeah, I feel like we all have so much in common, so much of the same, things we enjoy and loves and stuff like that. So it's just great to bond with someone else like that.
And we didn't even talk about horror movies, which I was holding myself back because I did not want to monopolize our time here. It just means you have to come back sometime.
Next time.
Yeah. Oh, well, shit. We should mention, Chaki, that you and I are playing a show together.
Oh, yeah.
We have to say this. On May 30th, we are both opening up for Rich O'Coin, a past guest on this show.
Wow.
That's at the Moroccan Lounge in Los Angeles.
Yes.
On May 30th. Me, Brian, Rich. It's going to be an amazing show. Good. That's one of my favorite rooms in LA. I love it.
Yep.
Cheap, strong drinks.
Yep.
Good sound. Good people. Good crew. It's awesome there. I love it. So I've never played there before. I've always wanted to. So this is huge for me. So, yeah.
Have you ever seen Rich's show?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't believe that he's even talking to me.
Yeah, he's such a sweet guy.
Cool.
And he puts on a great show. So anyone who's in the LA area, come out to see that.
Nice.
And Chaki, if people want to check out your stuff online or go on one of your tours, remind them where they can find you.
Yeah, just Chaki Funk Wizard on Instagram and all the socials, Chaki Funk Wizard. But there's my link tree there to my Bandcamp and the tours and everything you want to do. But yeah, come see a show. Look at this. Here's the Chaki promise.
Okay.
If you DM me and say you heard me on this show, you get on the guest list. Okay.
What?
Any show you want. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Damn.
Cool.
All right. Well, that brings us to the very end of this show, which we're just trying out some new stuff for closing the show, because I am famously so good at it that I feel like I need to give other people a chance to shine and wrap it up in a really concise manner. They're never going to be as concise and as on point as I am in wrapping up the show and ending it cleanly. But I just wanted to open the floor. If anybody has any parting words or advice or curses or anything.
Well, I have something.
Yes?
It's a question that I want to ask everybody listening, which is, why be normal?
Indeed. Goodbye.
That's it. Bye. Late Night is produced by Brian Wecht, Leighton Gray, and Jarek Centeno. Follow us on Twitter at Leighton Night, on Instagram at Leighton_Night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.